Welcome to Tita Talks. My name is Sonia Tita Popolo, and I'm your host. It is a great privilege and pleasure to welcome Clare Haggas. Clare is an international sporting artist who specializes in creating large, dynamic, and powerful paintings of a variety of British wildlife, with a particular passion for British birds. Over recent years, her work has become a fresh face on the countryside scene and is hung in country houses, offices, and hotels around the world. Clare also creates beautiful pure silk scarves to complement her original artwork, and all of her scarves are exclusively made in England. Today, we're talking about the healing power of art and creativity, a self-care tool for you. Welcome to Tita Talks, Clare.
Hi, how are you?
What did you do to care for yourself at home in England during the COVID-19 pandemic? And what are you doing now as we move forward, Clare?
Well, it was all really strange for us here because it sort of seemed to be everywhere else before it came here, and there was that feeling of it's not going to happen to us. So it was all a bit complacent at the beginning. So for us, everything was sort of normal up until about the middle of March, and then we were suddenly in lockdown at the end of March, and it hit very quickly. So initially, it was really strange because one minute we were absolutely fine, and the next minute the schools had shut, everything had shut, and we were in total lockdown. Like my daughter was at school one day, and then the next day they closed all the schools. There was no warning because I think there was that sort of feeling here that, you know, it's not going to get here and it will never happen to us, sort of thing. It was really weird. And then and business wise and personally wise, everything just stopped. So it was quite scary. It was scary, but it was also really bizarre because no one really knew. I suppose it was the same everywhere. No one knew what we were doing. No one knew how to behave. No one was going to happen economically. My husband at the time was very ill as well, so we had that fear going on because he was in hospital at the time, and then he had to come home, so they couldn't, so he didn't get the virus. So it was all quite scary actually. So it was a time that I had to try and put my recovery first and my own well-being first to be able to cope with looking after everybody else, because I was sort of in the sort of carer role. So I was having to do self-care, but also care for others. So it was quite difficult for me personally.
In your own words, you have said that you have this unique ability to capture the personality and character of the wildlife, and in particular, the birds you paint, as well as injecting movement and passion. Tell us about your artwork and what inspired you to start to paint and to create your collection of scarves.
Yeah, it was, as I said before, it's all part of my journey of recovery, because I'm an alcoholic, and I came into recovery in 2012, and that was when I discovered my talent. It was buried. I did A-level art at school, but it was then buried for many, many years, like 25 years. It was sort of buried, and I forgot about it. I just chose to ignore it, I think. And then when I entered into the recovery, it was spotted in the treatment centre I was in, and then I believed that was placed on my heart by my God that I believe in, and I knew I had to follow that path. And I get really emotional when I talk about it because it's a really important part of me. And I knew that when I was in South Africa, which is where I went for long-term treatment, I was painting the local wildlife. So I was painting a lot of like bright birds, and when I came home I just then automatically started painting the wildlife here, and where I live in Lincolnshire, we live next to a sort of pheasant shoot, and there's a lot of pheasant and partridge and hares and deer, and it's there, so I live in it. And then that's when I decided to just start painting it. And how I do it is I do like a snapshot in time, so it's so that's why some of my pieces go off the page, and because they're like a snapshot. So that's where I get the movement and the power and also the vibrancy. Because when I was drinking, everything I tried to paint, but it was rubbish. And they were very dark. Everything I paint is very bright and vibrant because that's how I feel. And I believe my inner feelings coming out, and I'm a happy person now, so I paint bright and happy stuff, and that's not just me making that up, that's how I feel. And I think there's a lot to be said for that, because if I look back at my artwork when I was not in recovery to now, you can see it's two different people. And I believe I was born as I entered recovery, and I followed my heart and my faith, and I believe that's why it's been a success, to be honest.
That's beautiful. Well, you know, our philosophy is that true self-care relies on utilizing all four pillars of a healthy lifestyle. That's exercise, nutrition, rest, healing, and mindfulness meditation. This is our formula for health, happiness, and longevity. And when these four pillars are in alignment, we achieve harmony and equilibrium. What is your daily wellness routine? I know you mentioned that you mindfulness, your daily recovery. What is your daily wellness routine, and what self-care tools do you use on a daily basis?
Yeah, I mean, I use, luckily, the AA recovery program is very sort of nurturing and self-care anyway, so that's sort of ingrained in me now. But I have a routine. I'll get up and I'll do my step 3 prayer. I'll do my gratitude list. I take my dogs for a walk. I've got 4 dogs now. Obviously, I can't have one. I have 4. And so I take them all out, and that's literally my first thing I do, is I do my prayers, and then I take my dogs out. And while I'm on my walk, I would hand everything over to God, and that to me is very important, because then I'm taking myself out of control. It's not down to me how my day goes, you know, there's someone else in charge, and I think that's very freeing every day, and it sort of centers me. And then I go back ready for battle, because, you know, life's very different at the moment. And that sort of centers me for the day, really. And then I know that I can carry on. Now, I find meditation for me is quite hard, because my brain just goes, but what I do is I now have this new hobby of fishing. I go salmon fishing.
Oh, wow.
I stand in the middle of the river. I'm going on Saturday, actually, for a week. And I literally watch all my worries go down the river with the river, and I'm surrounded by nature. And for me, that's my meditation. And fishing is very repetitive. It's fly fishing, very repetitive. And then nothing else matters, you know, and that's where I'm at my happy place. And it doesn't matter how busy I am and how stressed I am. If we try and have one thing a month to look forward to. So because my husband's illness as well, he lives in a day at a time as well. You know, it's a completely different illness. But we try and have one thing to look forward to every month, that we go to our happy place. And that's our meditation and our release. And I think that's really important for anybody who struggles or has difficulties, is always to look forward, not back. Alcoholics and stuff now, I work with a lot of ladies, and I said, look, it doesn't matter. Just get up again and try again and keep going, you know. It's about perseverance, and I think perseverance is really important. But yeah, I mean, my daily routine is really important.
Right. Well, we know that the more self-care tools and techniques you have, the better prepared you'll be to navigate any any experience, any moment, and uncertainties and so forth. And the more we incorporate positive daily habits, the more we learn about ourselves and what worked for us in our lives, then the better life we will live. You're such a great inspiration to us. Who and what inspires you, Clare?
Well, funny, I know this sounds a bit cheesy, but my husband really inspires me, because again, it's his positivity. You know, he was diagnosed with a terminal illness 10 years ago, and he's still here. You know, he was given 3 years, and I surround myself with positive people. You know, in AA we say stick with the winners, and I really try and stick with the winners. You know, like when we met, I identified with you straight away. I had a connection. You know, I can't deal with negative people, and I choose not to have them in my life. I have a choice today, and that choice is to be inspired by inspirational people. You know, every person I meet today, most of them are inspiring in their own little way. You know, it's and it's about. I think it's just. I haven't got one person in particular that inspires me. It's generally just being around positive people inspires me to be more inspirational, and work harder and get more out of life.
And how would you define the healing power of art and creativity?
Oh God, changed my life. Absolutely. It is. I mean, I would love, when I'm less busy, to do like art therapy workshops and work with people who are struggling, because I know if I'm having a bad day,
Yes.
I will paint. I'm like, right, that's it, I'm going to paint. And I shut the door, I lock the dogs out, I lock my husband out, I lock my child out, and I paint. Because for me, that is my channel, that's my focus, and it helps me heal and remain well. If and at the moment I'm very, very busy with the scarf business, and I'm not painting enough, and I feel off balance because
Right.
I'm not indulging in the creativity which keeps me well.
Right.
But I was saying, I have enough self-awareness to know that now.
Right.
And that when we come back next week, I will then make time to paint again, because I'm not prioritizing that at the moment.
And is there any particular message that you would like to make sure we communicate and share with our global viewers?
Yeah, I think like I said earlier, it's that if you fall, you get back up. You dust yourself off and you start all over again. And I think that's really important. I think when people have lost stuff, or they're struggling mentally, physically, or spiritually, you just keep trudging on that path. It's a narrow path, and we just have to stay on it. And I think that's really important, because if I'd given up, I'd be dead. But I didn't give up. Something inside me kept me going, and because I one day surrendered, I now have the most incredible life. I just cannot believe how happy I am and how amazing it is. And I think that's a really important message to carry, is don't give up. It's just really important. And I've seen, it's one of my little sayings is, don't give up until the miracle happens. And I think that's really special, because I'm a miracle. I was this really, and I've seen many people around me be little miracles. And I think that's really, and it's about remaining positive, focused, and never giving up. And I think that's just it, really.
Such a beautiful message to share. Thank you so much for joining us on Tita Talks Clare.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it. Thank you.